Hello, everybody. It's podcast time, or whatever we're doing. Facebook Live podcast thing. I'm very white. There's a window right in front of me. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Hi, Albina. I'm going to share, as one does, while people are getting on and joining us. Michelle, hey! Hi, everybody. I am fresh off the plane from Costa Rica last night. Just got home. Wow, what an amazing time. Barbara was there. Hi. Amazing time. Phenomenally life-changing 5-day class. Holy crap. And I'm excited. And I'm just grabbing this link to share. Is it business cocktail time? Maybe tomorrow in the class. Yeah, I'm not doing a cocktail chat today. That's going to be next time, the next podcast. I'm hoping to have a partner in crime for that one too. So we'll see if I can wrangle my dear friend, Miss Desiree Dumond, to join me. We will do cocktails. So I'm just sharing. And post. All right. Shall we? We're not making a drink. It's 2:00 in the afternoon here, which I really don't have anything. I'm not opposed at all to afternoon beverages or even morning cocktails, but I don't feel like drinking today. Plus, we're not always going to do a cocktail chat. So if you guys don't know what cocktail chats are, you have to come back next time and join me for that. I am having water, however. I like my sparkling water. Okay, let's begin, shall we? So welcome to Creating Beyond Reality. This is Heather Nichols, and we're here doing a podcast, Facebook Live, all over the world. And I'm so happy that you guys are here. I'm grateful that you're joining me. And we're going to talk about business today. And we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about the 3 things that every business requires. And it's funny because this is actually it's like a topic. It's like a conversation. It's like a section of the Business Done Different manual, the Joy of Business Masterclass that I love. And I actually am not sure I want to stick to the topic today because I'm kind of crazy like that. I do want to stick to the topic of business, but I just came home from an incredibly phenomenal certified facilitator class in Costa Rica, Access Consciousness Facilitator class. And it was pretty darn life-changing. I say that every time I take a class because it's actually completely true every time. And hi, Claudia. Hi, everybody who's joining me. Thanks for being here. And I actually this was one of the most life-changing. Well, I just am really different today. I woke up this morning and I was like, oh my God, I kind of want to kill everybody. I kind of want to dance with everybody. I kind of want to like play with everybody. Kind of want to just go into the woods by myself. So what's it going to be, you know? But this happens when we change. And so what I actually would like to, so this 3 things that every business requires, it's the reason I'm gonna talk about lots of things that every business requires. And there's a conversation in the Business Done Different class that's about different people in your business, different energies in your business, creative energies, connective energies, moving energies. So being somebody who has ideas, who's willing to create, having somebody who's willing to connect other people with what you do, and having somebody who actually is there to move things, to actually be aware of the future and what's required to put that into play. And it's a really cool conversation. And I actually want to kind of almost in a way sort of back up a step, because there's something that has really changed for me over the past week, which is like hot off the press and a hot topic in my world, lots of hot topics in my world. And I these are also energies that every business, I would say, requires, especially if you have a business, if you are in the business of change in any way, with people, working with change. And to me, it's a bit of a precursor in a way that makes, you know, when you have other people working with you, doing things for you, doing different types of work, doing different types of jobs, bringing people in, moving things along, doing back-end stuff, doing administrative stuff, doing creative stuff. All of that is going to actually be made far greater and far more productive and far more effective if you are willing to be some of the things that I would like to actually talk about today. So what are the 3 things your business requires? Well, there's 18 million of them. And let's just play, because I just feel like jamming today, and giving a bit of a download actually from some of the things that I received in the facilitator class in Costa Rica last week. The biggest thing for me was, and I always like, for me, this is a huge part of what is so different about the tools of access consciousness and the tools of joy of business with business, and is that it is very much an inside job. So changing our business, expanding our business, growing our business, very much an inside job. And so what does that mean? It means that the more we are willing to be, the more we are willing to receive, the greater we are willing to be, the more we're willing to acknowledge ourselves, the more our businesses can grow. And that sounds airy-fairy or whatever. You might be like, great, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But it actually is really where the rubber meets the road. It's actually where things really begin to change. And I've worked with this enough in my own life, in my own business, and also in the businesses of other people. I've been facilitating business for a very long time. I don't know how many years because I've lost track, but many, many years. And so I've worked with a lot of people in the growth of their businesses and what they're asking to change in their businesses and what they're asking to create more of and more with. And what I've seen in my own life and what I've seen with other people is that if you're not willing to sort of take up the challenge in a way of being you, of showing up for what it is that you'd like to create, of being really present and staying out of judgment of you and your business and your money flows and all of that stuff, of being really dynamically present with what it is that you're creating and what it is that you know, then there's a lot of other things that you can do, that you can add, that you can bring to the table. But there's this sort of like the ground, the like center of it all, which is you. There's a level of like health in a way that is lacking. And so I like to always go for the jugular. which is why sometimes people are like, I love you, you're amazing. I'm terrified to take your class. I get that a lot. Because I don't fuck around. I don't like to skirt around what I know is going to be the thing that is going to create the greatest amount of change for people. A lot of people aren't quite ready to have that conversation. So you can just hang up on me right now if that's you. You can come back in 5 years. It's okay. I'll still be here. This podcast will still be on my website, or whatever. But for those of you who are actually really asking for something different and you're actually really ready for a change, let's go. Let's dive in. And here's the thing. So many of us are doing things in the world that are really fucking awesome. Really awesome. Really required. Really, really required. For this world to be a different place, a greater place. And what happens is a lot of times we sort of check ourselves, we check what we're doing, we check this, against this whole universe of people out there and their points of view. And we reference ourselves. We grow up, we're raised to reference ourselves against the rest of the world. So we know things in here as kids, as even babies, like we have all of this awareness. We have so much awareness of the world around us. And that may be even a very new concept to you. And if it is, great, take it and run with it. You are aware. You are more aware than you even know. We are all more aware than we know every moment of every day. A side note, a great question to ask all the time is, what am I aware of right now? Because everything that goes on in your world is simply awareness. And we're so aware. And we look out at, but nobody talks to us about that as we're growing up, as we're kids. We look out at the world around us and we're like, okay, we can read and perceive all of these energies, all of these things, all of these, judgments and limitations and where people will and won't go and all this stuff. And most of us are just too fucking much. Most of us are too much. Way too much. I grew up with a grandmother who had a little name for me that was too much. She called me this, it was this Armenian, she was Armenian, and it was supposed to be a term of endearment, but it was sort of a term of endearment, a little bit of judgment, a little bit of like, you make me really uncomfortable by how too much you are, and a little bit of like, could you not be too much, please? Because I don't really know what to do with you, and you're really cute, And so I was called this, I don't even know if I can pronounce it, but I was called this word that meant too much. And I was always confused by it because it was supposed to be this term of endearment and I'm so adorable. And yet, could you please fucking tone it down? And so how many of you guys have actually toned down the everything that you be, the too much that you be, the everything that you know, the everything that you'd like to share with the world because you don't want to be too much? Or you don't want to be too whatever it is for you. It might be something slightly different, but we look at the world around us and we go, ooh, with our awareness, we're like, this is not going to be received. This isn't going to go over well. So I'm just going to use that awareness against myself, ratchet it down, tone it down, tuck it away, hide it, and adjust myself accordingly so that I will fit into this reality. So, how has that worked for you? And one of the biggest lies of business, if we look at this with business, so where have you been doing this in your business? Where have you been doing this? And when I say business, from Enjoy a Business, we say business is the adventure of living. So if you wake up in the morning and you're alive and you're breathing, you're in business. You are in business, in the business of your life and living. So that's what I mean by business, is just what you do during your waking hours. It could include your family. It could include a lot of things. So what you do, what you do as your life living. Maybe you have, lots of different businesses, or you don't think you have a business, but you have a life, you have living, you're alive, so you have a business. So how much have you toned it down, turned it down, kept it appropriate, in your business, whatever that is, so that you can be received, so that you can fit in with the rest of the world and everything that is? Can we please destroy and uncreate it? Right, wrong, good, bad, online, puck, pod, shorts, boys and beyonds. If you don't know what I just said, that is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. It's like a big delete button. It pulls, like, all this energy comes up, and then we just zoop, delete it. It's like defragging your computer. And if you want to know what that is, you can go to theclearingstatement.com. But the thing is that we're constantly orienting ourselves to find out what's going to work, what's not. And the thing where this is really crazy with business is because we tie it with money and income. So now all of a sudden there isn't just this sense of like you moving in the world, how does the world receive you? But now you're going to like tie that in to this package of how you create money, And for most people, they go into a sense of need when it comes to money. And then sort of like, well, I need to appropriately put myself out there. I need to appropriately, whatever. I need to say the right thing, do the right thing, whatever that is. I need to blah, 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 so that I can actually have people come and choose me, choose my whatever I'm doing, classes or sessions or workshops or services, whatever they are, products, so that I can make money. I need to somehow make myself like the people around me enough. I need to speak enough to the judgments that they have decided, the objections that they have about why they can't take my whatever or buy my thingy, whatever. Because that's what sales and marketing is in this reality, is actually this whole conversation of people's objections and how you can coerce them to overcome their objections by being just a little bit different than them, but really mostly like them, and not showing them anything different at all. Well, that is incredibly boring for most of us, and like kind of, and here's the thing is that it doesn't work. It doesn't work. If you are in the business of change, I invite you to be as weird as you are. I invite you to be as different as you are, and I invite you to acknowledge what it is that you are doing and being in the world that is different. Because guess what? There's a lot of people on planet Earth right now that are really hungry for a completely different conversation. And a lot of those people don't even know that they are. So think about somebody who has invited you to something different, someone who has invited you to a different conversation, a different possibility. Were they trying to be like you? Were they trying to like orient themselves to your thing, to your world, to your judgments? Because if they were, you were probably like, I have plenty of that. That's boring. Or were they actually being so different as to invite you to something different? We say in the Joy of business done different, not differently. When you do business differently, you're like a tiny bit off center from the same. You're just a little bit different. You're differently. But when you do business different, you're over here. You're not separate from, but you're over here. And you have a completely different way, a completely different space, a completely different reality of receiving and being, and acknowledging you and acknowledging what you know and what you bring and what you offer and who you be. And that is actually the invitation to something different. And if you would like to grow your business dynamically, I invite you to explore that space, because you going into other people's heads, you going into other people's worlds, you telling people why they need to buy your thing, take your class, do your product, la 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 la, hire you for whatever it is that you do. You're just swimming around in the carrot soup with everybody else. And the reality that I would like to see in the world is a world where we are all being as different as we actually be. We are all different, and every single one of you guys that is watching this, you know something. You actually really know something. And and this to me is this sort of like core of what it is that creates very, very dynamic thriving in our businesses, where we actually, like, there's a sense of like aliveness and actually a sense of having fun and having the joy of it all. When we are jumping into other people's worlds, looping into their reality, interacting with and tying in with their points of view, orienting ourselves to their judgments. Who's at the helm? Who's leading the conversation into something different? Nobody. When you can have this space of acknowledging how different you be, and acknowledging how different your message might be, then it becomes this pull. It becomes this energy pull that is actually how business gets created, where people go, what is going on over there? What's going on over there? That's something different. That person isn't struggling. That person is having fun. Because we can talk about the tools of access consciousness. We can talk about the tools of joy of business. We can talk about all these different and unique tools for creating business and income. From like the lip service of, yeah, there's this tool and that tool and this tool and that tool. And the beauty of that is that the tools work. Whether you embody them or not, they work. But when we are actually being, whatever, you may not even know what access consciousness is. I hope you don't. No, I don't have a point of view actually. But I am asking for these conversations to reach people that don't know what access consciousness is. Because my point of view is you don't have to. Like, if you're drawn to this, if you're like, what the, I don't even know what you're saying, but yes, then yay, welcome, hi. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here wherever you are, whoever you are, you know. But there are so many conversations that we have in our own worlds that we don't ever dare to have outside of this, you know. And a lot of times we don't even acknowledge that we're having those conversations in our own worlds. And it's when we step into the sense of, you know what, this is what's true for me. This is what's true for me. This is what I know is real and true. This is what I don't actually need anybody else to go here with me. I don't need anybody else to join me on this journey. I don't need anybody else's money. You know, I don't need anybody else to come and play in my business in order for me to thrive and have what it is that I know is possible. And you might be like, well, yeah, but how? But the beauty of the conversations that I love having, that I get to have as a Joy of Business facilitator and an Access Consciousness facilitator, are that how is no longer relevant. So if we were actually, you know, if I was going to like try to tell you what the 3 things are that every business requires, I've already told you 18 of them. No, more than that. One of them is for you to not ask how anymore. Let go of how. How is a limitation, it's a judgment, it's a computation. And this may seem like the weirdest, most lofty, airy-fairy conversation that you've ever heard of, hey, what if you could actually acknowledge the difference that you be, the uniqueness that you be, what it is that you know, what it is that you would like to even be invited to, what it is that you would like to invite the world to. What if that is the thing, the energy that takes your business and explodes it with no explanation as to how that happens? And when we create realities that have not existed before, which is one of my favorite things to do with business, is to create realities that have never existed before, we have to be at the helm. We have to be at the helm of the conversation that we would actually like to be having. And we have to be the ones that are acknowledging what's actually true. Because you're not going to find people out there that are going to go, oh, yeah. What you know, yeah, go for it, yeah. I mean, you will in some of these sort of circles or whatever. But for the most part, your clients, your future clients or whatever, they're not going to be the ones that are going, oh, yes, please. They're going to be the ones that are going, what is happening? What is going on over there? What are you doing? What are you being that is so different that I want some of that? I don't even know what that is, And the cool thing is you don't really even have to know what it is either. I love this. So I had this amazing experience this past week of, we talk a lot about choice in Access Consciousness. We talk a lot about how you can be aware of something and you can actually choose it. You don't have to know how. You don't have to have your ducks in a row. You don't have to know, have the money and la, 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 la. In order to choose something, you can actually choose it. And then just go. Choose it and go. Choose it, and the energy of that choice shifts things in your world. It brings you more awareness, and then you just run with it. But a lot of times what happens is when you have these conversations, you actually sort of go, when you are fluent in a way with this conversation of choice, or you've heard it enough times and you've played with it some, where we sort of think we still have to have some definition of what it is that we're going to choose. So it's I have to know what I'm going to choose and then I can choose it. But I had so many experiences in the facilitator class in Access Consciousness this past week, where I was basically shown to an edge of a cliff, and I couldn't see what was beyond the cliff. I couldn't see what was below the cliff, but I knew that I wanted to jump. And I did, and I am. And I don't know where I'm going, and yet I totally know where I'm going. I don't know what's beyond the jump, but I know that the jump is so what I've been asking for. And I'm jumping, and I have jumped, and I am jumping, and I will continue to jump. Now, this may seem crazy. And like I said, if it does, cool, you can hang up. Or you can stay and be like, this is crazy, but I'm staying because I don't know why. But this is actually how we can create our business day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And I saw this, Gary Douglas, who is the founder of Access Consciousness, he was talking in the class, and he was talking about this space that is beyond pretty much everything that we've ever known as facilitators. He was talking about the intimacy of judgment. So if you are a facilitator, or if you have classes or workshops or whatever, if you get people together to do things with you as part of your business, this will be relevant to you. So he was saying, you create small classes, small workshops, small whatever, a small business, so that you can have the intimacy of judgment with people, so that you can actually have this sense of like what is like people that all sort of fit into this like sphere of similar judgments. We all, positive judgments, negative judgments, whatever kind of judgments, we all have this intimacy of judgment where, you know, all these judgments kind of like match, you know, and we can like relate to each other, and there's a sense of connection here, you know. And I looked at that and I went, wow, what is beyond this? What is beyond this, you know? And I don't really know what's beyond it. And yet I do. But I don't, but I do. There's no definition. And I went, okay, well, whatever that is, I'm having it. I'm choosing it. I'd like to have like the communion rather than the connection. I'd like to have the sense of like not requiring anybody to fit into any specific sphere or stratification when they come and work with me or take a class with me or whatever. I'd like to have the space for everybody to come and play, no matter how similar or dissimilar our judgments, our worlds, our stratifications, the sphere of influence in which we move, no matter how similar or dissimilar it may be, I'm inviting that. And whatever else is beyond that I can't even put a finger on, that I can't even identify as a energy. I don't know what that is, but yes, I'm jumping off that cliff. And it was this amazing space of choice that was so different. And just this sense of like, I don't even really know what I'm choosing, and I also totally know what I'm choosing, and I'm choosing it. And this to me is where it gets fun, and it gets good, and it gets juicy, and it gets enlivening, and it's like, oh yeah. Because I know for me, like I stepped into something so totally different in my business last week. I don't really know what it is, but I know that it's everything I've been asking for. That's all I have to know. And here's the thing is that I can now invite people to that. I can invite people to what they know about that. We can have conversations about that in my classes and whatever sessions and stuff. We can have conversations about this, because every time each one of us chooses something different, we open up this amazing space for something different. And it is an energy. It's not a definition. People are not actually looking for definitions these days, even if they think they are. They're looking for energy. They're looking for energy. And what if we could be that? What if you could have your back in a way that you have never considered before? What if you could trust you? What if you could trust what you know? What it is that you would like to have as your life and the world in a way that you've never considered before? What if you could be as crazy as you are, as different as you are, as undefined as you are, as not knowing what the next step is as you are, and still be a leader for a different reality and a different conversation? What if being a leader does not require us to know where we are going, but it just requires us to know that we are going, and to know where in a totally different way, where there isn't a map, but there's the willingness to trust ourselves, and the willingness to be, the willingness to receive, and the willingness to lead into terrain that has not been explored before. And to me, this is so exciting. And this, I mean, even now as I'm talking to you guys now who are listening now and in the future, it's like, wow, like this is like the most non-linear conversation, you know? And I could go into judgment and I could be like, wow, I'm kind of all over the map here, you know, but that's on purpose. I don't want to be on the map anymore. I don't desire, and it's not like, oh, I want to be so weird that nobody can even, you know, it's not that, but it's like where I am going, there is no map. And I would love to see the world also go where there is no map, and it's not even like, let's all go to the same place where there is no map. It's like you and 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 you all know something different. You all be something different. And the thing that's amazing about this to me is that we all desire something. Every single one of us desires something that we haven't been willing to choose. Every one of us desires something that we haven't been willing to even maybe know that we desire. We haven't been willing to choose. And so what is that, you know? And I look at this, like I've been looking at this with my business, and truly how I would like my days to be, and truly, I mean, my days are amazing, and I love how I create, and I love my life, and I love my business. And it's like, okay, so now, what if I could have even more? What if I could be even more? You know, what if there was even more receiving that was available as the creation of business? What if there was even more receiving and being and ease and ask and receive? What if there was even more that was available that I have not been willing to perceive, haven't been willing to ask for before? Now, what would that be? And it's really cool because for me, I'm like, whoa, I'm starting to see all these places where I've sort of created my business in such a way because I kind of thought I needed to or had to or whatever. And it's like, okay, when you put something out to the universe where you're like, hey, universe, like, well, anything that you choose, anything that you create, you're telling the universe that you have the point of view that that's how it has to be. And this is where choice gets really juicy, because when we start to choose things where we really are off the map and we really are willing to jump and leap and all of that, there's a space of receiving and asking and like requesting of the universe that is so different. And it's like the universe rearranges when we do that, when we be that, when we are like, yes, I would actually like to have something very different. Yes, I would actually, yes, like, I have no idea if this is even allowed. You know, that happens to me a lot where I'm like, I don't know if this is allowed, but fuck it, I'm choosing it, you know? And as we exercise those muscles and as we adopt the spaces, really, as we like step into being the spaces that we be, that allow us to have and be something so different, that's where things get really juicy, because the universe will give you whatever it is that you're asking for if you're willing to receive it. And Gary Douglas says, he's the founder of Access Consciousness, he says, what if business was about receiving? What if business was about receiving? And business is also about being, because the more that we be, the more we can receive. So business is about being and receiving. Not about what we do, not about what we have to do, not about what we think we have to do, not about what we have decided that we're obligated to do. None of that. which is why I didn't even go into the 3 things that I was going to talk about, because I wanted to talk about this first. I wanted to talk first about, what are you being with you? Are you actually asking questions? Are you actually asking for what you desire? Are you actually living your days and moving in the world in such a way as that actually matches what you desire truly? Or are you still functioning from the desire for something out here, but the point of view that you can't have it, and the point of view that you have to stay limited back here and do all of these things that you don't want to do and run your business in a way that you don't want to run it because you can't have this? But someday maybe you will once you change this. I will tell you right now, that's not how it works. You have to choose this out here, and people on the audio aren't going to see my hands. My hands were far apart. So it's like you have to choose what it is that you desire. You have to choose what it is that actually, that you truly desire to have and to be. And you will not know how to get there. I guarantee you, you will not know how to get there. And that's one of the coolest things about Access Consciousness and the joy of business, is that we don't ever tell you how to get there, because nobody knows, including you, including the experts that tell you that they know how, because it never shows up how you think it will. But we do have a mega vault, a universe of tools that you can use to continue to stay in question and to stay in the perceiving and the receiving of what is actually available to you. And that's all that it's about. It's like, well, when I jump off the cliff, I've got the tools to know how to fly, or whatever other cool thing might be available to me that's beyond flying that I've never considered before. But when I jump, I will begin to know those energies. I watched the movie Shazam on the plane last night. And it's this kid who, he becomes a superhero, but he has to actually really embody his superpowers and sort of learn how to use them by just using them. He's in these situations where he's put to this sort of test of, hey, I have to figure out how to fly right now because I fucking must fly, and he doesn't figure it out, but he becomes it. He becomes the energy that will fly. He becomes the energy that will blah, 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 blah. And as he puts himself into all of these situations where, all right, now you're here, you're holding a bus up off of the bus is falling off a cliff, you're holding it up, now what are you going to do, And he steps into these capacities and these superpowers as he goes. That's business done different. Is, okay, how I would actually like my days to be, how I would actually like my business to be, how I would actually like to receive, how I would actually like my money flows to be, how I would actually like to play with other people, and what I actually know. All right, let's do it. And choosing that now with the willingness to have no fucking idea how you're going to get there, and to use the tools and to be and to receive. This is what creates something so different showing up in your world. And there is no definition to this. And the more that we let go of definition, the more we let go of definition, the more we can let go of definition, and the less we have to actually know where we're going. But we just know that we're going. And there's a million different directions. When you don't have a map, there's a million different directions. And they will all take you somewhere, and that somewhere might be really fun. There's a lot of really fun somewheres. What if it wasn't about carving out the targets and the goals and I'm going to do this, but what if it's like, hey, I would like to contribute to the world in whatever way that I can, in as many ways as I can, in as big a way as I can, and I'd like to have more fun than I'm allowed to doing it, and I'd like to make more money than I can even imagine doing it. You're not going to care if you're doing that. If you find yourself making more money than you can imagine, having more fun than you're allowed to, changing the world in more ways than you can imagine, you're not going to care what it looks like. I guarantee you. Now, how do you get from here to there? Well, you jump off the cliff, you jump off the cliff, you jump off the cliff. And you step into the being of these spaces and the receiving of what it is that you know. And this is a journey that is, there's no destination, there's no end point, there's no place that you arrive at. And there also is no, there is no map, as we've said. There's a million different ways to get there, and there's a million different theirs. And that's so cool because we find out more and more all the time what would be fun. And there's new things that pop up every day where we're like, oh, wow, that would actually be really fun. Okay, cool, let's try that now, And so anywhere that you've decided it, like in order to make large amounts of money that you have to like have your ducks in a row, please let go of that. Destroy it and create it. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POC, pod, shirts, boys and beyonds. Please let go of it because it's not required. The more chaos you live as and from, the more chaos you get to be, the more chaos gets to come into your world in terms of the revenue streams and the money flows and the people and all these people that don't match what it is that you've decided they have to match in order to work with you. And it's like all of this amazing activity and possibilities come into your world, and revenue and money from here and money from there and money from there and money from there and people from here and there. And this is about business as receiving, where we begin to actually allow the world to come to us. What if it was not about putting your business out there, putting you out there, but allowing the world to come to you because you are willing to be so different. Because you are willing to be so different. Most people don't have a fucking clue what they desire and know how to get there. And most people are looking for somebody to tell them. But the thing is knowing what you want, quote unquote, and knowing how to get there, quote unquote, are two of the biggest lies of this reality. And you can't create from a lie, which is a story for another time. You cannot create from a lie. So, when you all of a sudden show up as, yeah, I don't really know either. I do and I don't. I don't really know how to get there either. I do and I don't. I do know how to be. I do know how to not have judgment. I do know how to play. I do know how to receive. I do know how to be present with me and with you. That's where the conversation can begin. And it can continue to begin. You can begin and begin and begin. One of my dance teachers used to say, begin again, begin again, begin again, begin again. That's where you can begin again. Every day, every moment of every day. It's a chaotic space of creation, and it's actually a pragmatic space of creation. In fact, it's how the entire universe creates itself. And we are not exempt from that. So perhaps trying to figure out how of your business and your money flows and all this stuff is totally counterproductive because the universe doesn't work like that. And perhaps it is so much more about the being, the receiving, and the willingness to lead and to be at the helm even when you don't know where you're going or how to get there. But you do know what it is that you would like to see as a world and as your life. So chew on that, play with that. What can we all create with that? And this is like the very, very tip of the iceberg of a 3-day deep dive conversation called the Business Done Different class, which happens all over the world all the time. There's lots of Joy of Business facilitators that do this class. Take the class. At some point, take the class. It's so fucking life-changing for people. And I am actually facilitating it starting tomorrow. And I have it, on my schedule at other times as well. I have one in India in November. And you can go to my website, heathernichols.com, and find out my schedule. And if you want to come and join tomorrow, it's going to be online. It's going to be fucking epic. These classes are so epic. And we're also doing, starting on Tuesday, 30 days of energy pulls, energetic exercises for pulling people in to your business. Called Business as Receiving. 30 days of elegance with creation. And that's starting on Tuesday. And people that take the class this weekend get those energy pulls for $100. So you can do the class and stay on for 30 days and keep playing. But we will be deep diving into this. This is not a new conversation, and also for me, this conversation has so many new energies to it after last week. And I am absolutely stoked and thrilled and so enthusiastic to explore these energies for me. And for all of us who are asking for something different. One of my greatest delights in life is that it is possible to have total ease, total receiving with the creation of business and money. I really wish for the world to know that that is actually not just something that we can talk about, but it's a possibility, and that when you choose ease and you choose to use these tools with the creation of business and money, not only does it get easier, but your business and your money grow faster than anything I've ever seen before. So not only, it's like when you give up fight and problems with business, not only does it make your life easier, but it actually does the very thing that you think the fight and the problems do. You think you have to fight and have problems to make money. You don't. The fight and the problems actually push money out of your world. They stop your receiving. It's when you be and receive and choose the ease, even though you don't have any fucking idea how, that the money flow actually moves in. What if money could flow in to your world? What if people could flow into your world, into your classes, into your business? And it wasn't about you going out and looking for it, seeking it, trying to find it. But it was actually a willingness to receive that sets you apart and is that energy and that invitation for people to join you and play with you in whatever it is that you're doing. You having fun with you, liking you, enjoying you is an energy that most people aren't willing to be with themselves. And it is one of the most dynamic invitations to your business and to something different in the world that I have ever seen. So yeah, there's something very different available to all of us now. than there has been before. I really got to see this past week in the class that I was in, the facilitator class, or something very different available. And it's time, and it's available for the choosing. Truly. So who's gonna go cliff jumping with me? So thank you so much, everybody, for being here now and in the future. I'm grateful for I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for what you're choosing, what you're being. Oh my goodness. There is a little baby mountain lion in my backyard. Holy shit. Alrighty then. So how does it get better than that? Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful day. Bye.